I want to thank our reader for the great reading, and Karen Drucker and our CSL music team for the wonderful music that supports the message today. And in this month of April, when we're talking about caring, our message today is making change. Now, you might wonder why I'm recording in front of a saxophone picture. As I was thinking about it, I realized that music is all about changing. They change keys, they change octaves. So it seemed appropriate to have a saxophone in the background. And I love the sounds of a sax. Changing is really about figuring out where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there. We've all had moments when we feel stuck, maybe restless or ready for something new. And the desire to change isn't a flaw. It's actually the divine spirit whispering to us, you were made for more. And since this past week also had Earth Day in it, I'm also going to invite you to open your hearts and minds to a sacred conversation about our home here, this beautiful, fragile, magnificent planet Earth. We're not separate from it. We're not here to dominate it. We are it. We belong to it. And if we're willing to look at the earth with spiritual eyes, we might just see that it's not a problem to solve. It's a sacred relationship to nurture. And perhaps we can make a little change in our lifestyle that will help the earth. Are you willing to do that? While you ponder that question, let me give you a question for the week. What is the one choice you might make today to recognize where you are, to see where you want to be, and to step into how you can get there while honoring Mother Nature and this planet? One more time. What's the one choice you might make today to recognize where you are, to see where you want to be, and to step into how to get there while honoring Mother Nature and the planet? So I said change is about noticing where you are, figuring out where you want to be, and then deciding how to get there. Change is spirit reminding us to grow, to expand who we are and who we might become. And I'm sure you've all heard that famous quote of Lao Tzu, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Before we take that first step, we need to know two things: where we are and where we want to go. Let's be honest, GPS is no good if it can't locate where we are at the present moment. How can it get us where we want to go if it doesn't know where we are? And the soul works the same way. We have to start from where we are. Katherine Economou tells us, you cannot change what you are unwilling to face. So as we take this journey today, we begin with honesty and tolerance, which A Course in Miracles defines as two of the qualities of a teacher of God. I just am going to invite you to strive to be aware of where you are on your journey without judgment, being tolerant of where you are, and without imposing any guilt or shame on yourself. So we're going to take this journey together as though we were scientists observing an experiment. And remember, invite the knowing from Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is the first step toward clarity. Let's start with the spiritual practice that invites us to take an honest look at who we are at this moment in time. I call it self-inventory. Take a moment to be still. Remember that you are God. And pause as you take inventory of your inner landscape. And don't forget, we do this with honesty and tolerance, no judgments, and no desire to fix it at the moment, just witnessing. Ask your inner guide, that higher self, what am I feeling? And just notice what feels heavy and what feels light. And then ask, what am I resisting? Just notice. This one is my favorite. What am I pretending not to know? Just notice. And last but not least, what feels alive in me right now? Just notice what came up for you about who you are in this moment in time as we went through those questions. A Course in Miracles tells us you are not really capable of being tired, but you are very capable of wearying yourself. Do you weary yourself? I know I do sometimes. Sometimes we think we're lost, but really, we're just tired from holding on to what no longer serves us. And while we're on the topic of who we are in this moment, let's remember those words of Ernest Holmes. We live in a spiritual universe. God is in, through, around, and for us. We live in a spiritual universe. That includes the earth. The trees breathe for us, the oceans feed us, the bees and birds pollinate our substance. What could be more holy? Have you ever pondered what you've been thinking into this earth? What consciousness you're pouring into the soil and the air and the waters and the forest? Is it possible we might have forgotten to care for the planet we inhabit? Who are you in that aspect of your life? Katherine Economou put it very poignantly. We were not placed on earth to take. We were placed here to remember that we are part of the fabric, not the rulers of it. And once we remember, we begin to heal, not just the planet, but ourselves. I love that quote. And the next obvious question is, how do we shift so that we can become aware? How do we move from where we are to where we need to be? Not only with respect to the planet, but with respect to expanding who we might become. Since I find that the outward shifts are sometimes easier than the deeper inner shifts, let's begin with the earth and what we might choose to think about with respect to the earth. How do we shift from extraction to reverence, from consumption to caring, from seeming despair about the state of the planet to hope? Well, the truth is, we're all connected. We know that our philosophy is based on oneness, that spiritual principle that is the grounding of everything that we talk about. We are not separate from the earth. When we pollute a river, we pollute ourselves. When we cut down a rainforest, we sever a lung of the planet. And when we waste, we forget the sacred. It's not just about climate crisis. It's a consciousness crisis. So let me lead you through another spiritual practice that I call oneness with the earth. Take a breath. Take a moment and close your eyes if that's comfortable. And breathe with the earth. Imagine your breath connected to a tree somewhere. Inhale what it gives you and exhale what it needs. Breathe in what the tree is giving you, that life-sustaining oxygen, and breathe out what that tree needs, that carbon dioxide. Feel the reciprocity. Feel the gift in that reciprocity and the grace. That's the foundation of all sustainability, that sacred relationship. So as we move from the earth, which is that outer where we are, let's look at where we want to be in our own lives spiritually. I know a lot of times we really desire to change, and we might actually make the changes for a few days, but then we go on a spiritual detour, sometimes with trail mix. Ralph Waldo Emerson told us, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. This is the sacred art of vision. Spirit gave you the power to imagine what you want to have happen, how you want your life to be, not just to wish about it, but to vision it. And Ernest Holmes wrote, change your thinking, change your life. Holmes is reminding us that our thoughts are not just thoughts. They're spiritual power in motion. This is not about surface level goals. This is about a soul level desires. In the Bible, Matthew 6:33, we read, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. We all know that Jesus said, ask and it's given. And yet, how many times do we fail to ask? So let's do another spiritual practice. This one I call soul visioning. And again, I invite you to close your eyes and just ask your heart, that place within you that always tells you the truth. What would my life look like if I trusted Spirit completely? What would my life look like if I trusted Spirit completely? Just pause and let the vision rise. And take a moment and think about this. If you fully trusted the divine, what would you say yes to? If you truly, fully trusted the divine, what would you say yes to? I'm sure you've heard that expression, this is where the rubber meets the road. Well, this is where the soul meets intention. Change doesn't happen by inspiration alone. It needs intention and consistent, loving action. I know you all know that acronym that I use all the time, AIM, attention, and intention equals manifestation. John Steinbeck said, a journey is like marriage. the certain way to be wrong is to think you control it. So true, isn't it? Ever notice when you try to control things that you just seem to find out that you really are not in control? There's that old saying about we make plans and God laughs. Lao Tzu said, the way to do is to be. And Gandhi is often attributed with this quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. I actually would like to set the record a little bit straight because this is what he actually said. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. So that quote, be the change you wish to see in the world, is a summary of that beautiful expression from Gandhi. And if we were going to take those words of Gandhi and Lao Tzu to heart, we would realize that the path forward is not to effort, it's to align with our divine nature. We would see we don't do change, we must be change. So let's try yet another spiritual practice that reminds us to take baby steps towards our vision. And I call it micro movements. Okay, pick one small thing that you can do each day to move toward your vision, to actually embody the change that you're seeking. Don't underestimate the sacredness of small steps. Remember that quote that I started off with, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Are you willing to take the small step on your journey to becoming who you want to be? All you need is the willingness to believe the change is possible. Let me repeat that. All you need is the willingness to believe the change is possible. A Course in Miracles reminds us miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. So expect a miracle. Let's get back to Mother Earth for just a second and apply another of our spiritual principles, which is conscious action. We have to treat and move our feet. Spirituality without action is like prayer without breath. We must walk our prayers, treat and move our feet. Holmes said, we should think of the world as being healed, as being happy, as being filled with people who are expressing themselves. So, what would it look like to think of the earth as healed? To speak of the earth as whole? To act as if our lives depended on earth thriving? Well, actually, they do depend on the earth thriving. So, what might we do, and what are some small steps we might take? Well, I have a few suggestions for you. Reduce your energy consumption. Conserve water. Recycle and practice waste reduction. Eat in alignment with the earth. Vote with the earth in mind. Invest in businesses that honor the earth. Have conversations that uplift environmental consciousness in our communities, in our families, in your spiritual homes. Katherine Economou said, the earth doesn't need us to be perfect. She just needs us to show up every day with love, with intention, with humility. So we can begin one reusable bag at a time, one native plant at a time, one choice to walk instead of drive, one tree planted, one child taught how to compost, one heart awakened. And because I did not announce it sooner, because it was Easter and I didn't want to complicate that with Earth Day, I want you to know that there's a marvelous movie called 2040, and I'm going to be having a Zoom call this Tuesday night at 6:30 Central Time, and the link will be on our website so that you can come and watch this wonderful movie. It's about a gentleman who had a young daughter and decided to spend a year traveling the planet to find out how we can do things that will reduce all of the problems that our planet currently has. And let's be real. Change is exciting about maybe 3 days before resistance might set in. But there's another spiritual principle which helps us when we look at our individual world or at the planet and perhaps feel whelmed. What's the use? And that spiritual principle is faith in possibility. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Every great and commanding moment in the annals of the world is the triumph of some enthusiasm." Enthusiasm indeed is a sacred fire, but when it dims because things don't seem to be going the way we expected them to, you need something deeper: faith in possibility and commitment. So let's look at another of my favorite spiritual practices, and that's daily affirmations. Create your own around this topic or borrow this one. How is it I so easily am rooted in spirit, guided by vision, and moving forward in divine timing? Say it out loud every morning, whatever you decide your affirmation to be. Say it as though you mean it, even when you might have days that you possibly don't mean it. Affirming it brings it about. All we need to do is let go and let God. And if you're like me, you let go and you let God, but then you grab the wheel again because apparently your enthusiasm is control. Just keep up the affirmation. There's a beautiful saying in Songs of Songs 4:7, and it's this: "You are already beautiful, my darling. There is no flaw in you." Take that in. You are already beautiful. This journey you are on to become more of who you can be is not about fixing yourself. It's about uncovering more of the beauty, uncovering the wholeness that is already there. And remember Holmes' quote that I love to use: "There's a power for good in the universe and you can use it." You are that power. A Course in Miracles reminds us the light in you is what the universe longs to see. The light in you is what the universe longs to see. And as for the earth, and when you're feeling whelmed by the current state of affairs and whether we can reverse what's already happened to the planet, that's precisely when we must remember what Ernest Holmes told us. The answer to every problem already exists in the mind of God. I want to repeat that. The answer to every problem already exists in the mind of God. Solutions are here right now. Technologies, policies, visions, and most important, the solution is you. You are the prayer walking. You are the blessing speaking. You are the shift in consciousness the earth is yearning for. And when we come together, that's precisely when we use that power of the universe that is there for us. Katherine Economou reminded us, the shift is not in what you do, but in how you remember who you are. You're not becoming something new. You're remembering who you already are. Whole, guided, capable, divine. So allow me to offer you yet another spiritual practice. This one's pretty simple. It's a daily earth service. Each morning, plant your feet firmly on the earth. Yeah, literally if you can, in the grass, the dirt, the sand, even a balcony if that's what's accessible to you. Plant your feet there, close your eyes, and say, "Thank you, Mother Earth. How may I serve you today?" Thank you, Mother Earth. How may I serve you today? Thank you, Mother Earth. How may I serve you today? And know that this service is not a burden. It's a joy to serve the earth, to be part of the healing of this planet, to be part of the remembering. As Katherine Economou reminds us, a sustainable world is not built only in labs and boardrooms. It is built in the hearts of those who care enough to act with love. You and I are those hearts. So let your spirituality be soil. Let your love be water. Let your hope be sun. Let your actions be seeds. Tend to them with devotion. And together, we will definitely grow a world where life is not just possible, but it's sacred, thriving, and joyously sustainable. And so finally, tonight before bed, light a candle and speak your vision aloud. And also say aloud, "I am willing." And so in summary, how might you learn to make changes? Well, recognize where you are and remember to just look at who you are with honesty and tolerance, no guilt, no shame, no judgment. And remember, you are God. God is in, through, and as you always. And then see where you want to be. Remember the spiritual principles of oneness. Know that the universe conspires to help you make changes as soon as you decide what you want. And what would you say yes to if you fully trusted the divine? And finally, get there while honoring Mother Earth. Change requires intention and conscious, loving action. And remember, when you're whelmed, shift to faith in possibility. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so willingly, energetically, and effortlessly recognize where I am, see where I want to be, and step into how to get there while honoring Mother Nature and the planet? And your challenge for the week is to make a conscious choice to make changes in your life which support your moving into who Spirit knows you can be. Honor Mother Nature each day in some way, and adopt at least 2 spiritual practices that will strengthen your ability to make changes, ones that also support you, as well as changes that support the planet. Let's pray. We just move into that sacred garden within ourselves, to that place within, which is the way you see the world, to that place of your highest vision. And we remember to make time to notice where we are and where we want to be, knowing that God is in love with our journey. And what I know to be the absolute truth is that we're taking a good look at who we are, just witnessing, no judgment. And we're recognizing what visions we have for who we want to be. And we're allowing those visions to bubble up. And as the vision becomes clear, we know that the universe is conspiring to help us have that manifest. So we step into doing what is ours to do to get there. So I am so grateful you've spent some time with us today. I'm grateful for your time and for your attention. And I'm knowing that each of us is expanding who we are and moving more into who Spirit knows we might be, making those changes that have us truly stepping into a higher vision of ourselves. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to know that the God without is a God within each of us. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for this community. And it's from that gratitude that I release these words into the law of mind, spirit, and action, knowing the truth. God's already said yes, so I can say amen. And we can affirm it together. And so it is. And once again, let me thank everyone that contributes and makes this community possible. I am so grateful for that. Enjoy our offertory song.